Welcome everyone to our series ISO 20022, Don't Get Left Behind. I'm Chris Tassoni, Marketing Director at SEEBURGER, and today is episode 3, Prepare Your Business for ISO 20022, Practical Tips and Strategies. We thank you so much for joining. Please put your questions in the comments area throughout the event. And now I'll introduce our speakers for today, starting with Isak Pentila. With a wealth of experience spanning multiple continents and a deep understanding of global payments modernization initiatives, Isak is a leader in the ISO 20022 community. Today, he leads the consulting practice at Movits Payments. And we have Ulf Persson as SVP Strategic Product Management and Analyst Relations at SEEBURGER. Ulf is responsible for strategic product management, product marketing, global analyst relations, and leadership with regards to SEEBURGER integration technology, platform, and integration services. Ulf works across multiple industry verticals with a focus on financial services, payments, and ISO 20022. And with that, I'll hand it off to you, Ulf.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome back, Isak, for the third time. Today, we're going to focus on corporates and what corporates should think about and to do also as well when it comes to ISO 20022 migration. I'm going to step right into it and talk about a few benefits that I've seen, and at least we have discussed when we've been out there talking to existing clients and others. You know, obviously with the enhanced data richness, treasury, accounting, the teams that kind of manage the payments, the money part of an enterprise would gain a lot from as part of this migration. Is that your understanding as well? And will that also help, when it comes to, I think it will help a lot when it comes to visibility around cash management. So those are two areas. And I'm going to, what do you think there? And is that something that you see as well as big things? And are there other things?
Yeah, so there's a couple of benefits that we've talked about for many years now. Unfortunately, they're not just going to happen. The banks and other players needs to offer them to corporates, and the corporates also need to change their existing behavior, which is not always an easy thing to do.
Of course.
So I think the biggest problem we have, and last time we talked, we referenced the Solent article or report for 2023, and one of the big problems is that corporates are not really even aware of what all the things that are happening. So that's kind of the first problem, that if you're not aware of the changes, if you're not changing yourself, there's not a lot of benefits that's just gonna come to you. Surprisingly,
not only appear as such magic. No, there's no
exactly.
magic. So
exactly. But if we do adopt it properly and you do the work, the richness of data, both in quality and in quantity, is going to be a key thing for corporates. We've talked a lot about automatic reconciliation, which is going to be really key. I think especially on the North American side, there's a lot of corporates that are dreaming about doing some automatic reconciliation. Now, in order to do that, you need the data to come to you in a structured way, and you also need your systems to be able to handle that. So there's obviously a long journey until we can get to anything like that. But the enhanced data richness in quality of data is going to be really key. And then the harmonization as well is another thing which is really interesting for corporates. Being able to speak the same language across multiple payment types, multiple jurisdictions. That's going to be key. Maybe not in the first couple of years, because ISO 20022 is a little bit different if you talk about North America compared to Europe. But with everything that's going on with CPMI and the G20 initiatives, we are going towards same usage of the standard and that kind of payment type agnostic environment that we've been looking forward to.
No, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to do things smarter and faster on both sides. but to get there. So okay, so if I'm the treasurer or my team, accounting team, or whatever it will be referred to in my company, I work with 10, 15 different banks because I have a global setup. What do? I call them, or if I now and I listen, and I'm on now. I'm sure there's a corporate out there listening to what we're saying. So tomorrow I call them, or what do I do? Is that the way to get going, or yeah?
Yeah,
I'm sure there are many answers to that question, but yeah, please.
Yeah, I think a really good start is to give your banker a call. I mean, you need to understand what's on the roadmap, what kind of offers, product offering that they have right now, and what they're kind of focus on in the next couple of years. The other thing I want to stress as well to the corporates, I did the same thing for banks. You shouldn't look at ISO 22 in isolation. It should be something that's part of a bigger journey. I worked with a corporate a couple of weeks back, actually, that we're kind of looking at a holistic end-to-end modernization of their own treasury and understand what they can do, which was really interesting because ISO 22 was one part of it, and we talked about the payment initiation files. We talked about the reporting that you can get from ISO 22, but it was a lot bigger than that. It was about how to leverage pre-validation, account verification, fraud analytics, and all of those things. And it's all together that you can kind of look at it and really build that business case. That's been one of the challenges in the last couple of years for corporates. Yeah. How do you build a business case to make all of this change if the only thing that you're going to get is maybe some structured information from your end user or from your stakeholder? Right. But if you look at it as a payments modernization as a whole, I think it's the business case almost writes itself. There's a lot of new things in the last couple of years has been deployed, new products, new functionality. So I think if you do look at it that way, it's going to be a lot easier for corporate. So that would be the key thing.
And on a medium or large enterprise level, obviously as a treasurer and that working with that within that business unit department, you have a lot of touch points. You have your ERP, probably maybe a CRM, maybe there are some other specific applications. Maybe there is also Swift is there, correct, somewhere in as part of this. So, I mean, you're right. It's probably a good idea to look at this more from an overall modernization initiative, and then utilize once you can start to structure information and utilize data in the right way. I mean, automation in general, independent of vertical, is an important initiative overall. You want to automate as much as you can, but you still have the human factor and data entry and what have you.
Right, and also, if you do look at it kind of holistically, you also need to look at the trends and the future, what we might see in the next couple of years. I know that's difficult to predict, but obviously 2023 has been a big year with AI. So totally. What's gonna happen there? I think it would be interesting. I'm not saying that anyone should implement that at their treasury right now, but to be prepared of what potentially to come. And there's a lot of fintechs that are doing some interesting things in our industry, trying to implement AI solutions. And so that's another interesting kind of aspect to it, not only looking at like right now and the pain points, but also look at what could my treasury look like in 5 or 10 years, in 10 years time. A couple of other things, we've seen a lot of banks doing a little bit of a like-for-like implementation. I think the corporates can benefit from going after the banks. They can learn from the mistakes. Doing a like-for-like is not going to give you any benefits or hardly any benefits. It's going to cost you a lot of money and you're not going to get a lot from it. So taking that approach is a very it's a bad idea. And the other thing, which is also kind of key, which is often lost upon the corporates, it's easier for the banks to see it, but implementing ISO 22 is not a once and done kind of thing. Once you're on ISO 222, the standard itself is going to evolve every year. And also the payment systems and the usage is going also to evolve on an annual or biannual basis. So making sure that you're looking at this as something that's the start of an evolution and not just something that you need to do and then you're going to get, all the benefits and be happy ever after. I think that's the key thing that when you're kind of looking at your journey ahead.
So it's an agile approach, obviously, and with some focus and education is important. I think we mentioned that in the previous events as well as part of this series. But you also you cannot just you need to re-educate yourself as well, and maybe probably adopt or define a certain team that can help. It's like, going back to implementing agile, that was also a breakthrough, and you had to do things in a different way. I think many organizations are still learning, and you need to have some kind of mentor approach where you can support initiatives. This could be something similar, obviously, that, pick that specific use case as part of a modernization and talk to your banks, educate the key stakeholders, and then make sure that you're up to date with whatever you need to have prepared before you get going. Does it make sense?
100%. And I think the other key thing there is, we've talked about ISO 222 for years and years at conferences, right? It's not a new thing. It's turning 20 years old next year. So we've obviously had a lot of discussions about ISO 222. The problem with ISO 222, and especially the benefits, is that the benefits are different depending on who you are. So if you're a market infrastructure, benefits like the independence and international nature of it, that's really important. For corporates, you don't really care about that as much. You care about the richness of data in quality and in quantity. And so I think it's really, the key thing is the education and understanding what ISO 222 means for your organization. That's the key thing. There's a lot of corporates that I talk to that look at the benefits of ISO 222 as only applying to banks, and it's probably because a lot of the conferences that we've had in the last couple of years is focused on what this is going to mean for the banks. So I think that's the key thing, to really understand, educate yourself on what is this going to mean for you, and talking to people is the key thing. Talk to your bankers, talk to your vendors. Just try to scratch the surface on this one. It's quite a complex subject. You don't need to be going as deep as I have we have in the last couple of years, but getting a little bit of better understanding of what this is and what this is going to mean for your organization is going to be key.
Excellent. So I will wrap it up there, and thank you, Isak. I think this has been great. I mean, so to all your corporates out there, be bold, call your banks. Education is key, and be agile, and don't be afraid. And you need to work together. And by that, Chris, over to you.
Thank you both so much. This has been enlightening. Very great information for the corporates out there. Thanks for everyone that joined us in this series. Please visit our website and ask us any questions that you might have about all the information that you've received in this series. And until next time, thank you, Isak and Ulf, for all of your great information. And then to everyone for joining us today.